Estate living has come a long way in the last decade or two. Cookie-cutter designs built en masse have blossomed in its own right. And now we're seeing designs that are as unique as they are memorable. Sometimes, updating an existing design will take you that one step closer to a finest home. South African homes have really come into their own over the last few decades. Generic imitations have made way for modern masterpieces and character-filled spaces. Finest Homes explores some of these creations, talking to the visionaries that's bringing them to life. Join us as we explore some of these spaces, showcasing the interior design, architecture, and landscape design. Today's feature house is set in the Heidelberg Basin in the town of Somerset West. A contemporary home that enjoyed a recent update to meet its owner's needs for a pared-back home that ticks all the boxes for comfortable, easy living. The architect responsible for the update is Frederick Lotter of LotterHAUS, a turnkey architecture and interior studio. Hello!
Hi, Leanne.
How are you?
Welcome. I'm very well, and yourself?
Very well.
You too. Let's go through here.
Thank you. Oh, wow. This is beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh. Love. I am in love. Frederick, like most of our finest homes that we've seen over the last few weeks, this is not a new build, but in fact you were called in to update this beautiful space for the new owners.
Exactly. This is an existing house. It was built probably about 10 years ago. Probably wouldn't say that because it's a very modern and contemporary looking house. That's obviously what appealed to the clients as well. So they were in love with the house, but with every new client you get, our philosophy is always that ideally you want to design a house from scratch for a client because everyone's unique and everyone's an individual with their needs. So as soon as you buy a house, there is definitely some renovations to be done to make it your own home.
I am so fascinated to find out what exactly this property looked like before you started with this project.
There was definitely some color differences. There was a few impracticalities that we needed to address. So there was a lot of flow issues that we had to address. And then obviously this patio that we're standing on now wasn't covered, and the top floor, there's also a sliding door living out. There wasn't a balcony, so we had to resolve that. Sure. The main bedroom was sort of a bit cut off from the views and everything, and then there was just more space required at the back of the house that we also did additions to.
Well, Frederick, I am loving the outside, but shall we go and check out the inside?
You're welcome. Let's go have a look.
Oof, this is gorgeous.
It's a nice space.
It really is. I love how airy it is. Thank you so much. So, Frederick, what was the brief from the client?
They really allowed us, not only because they're nice people, but because they really allowed us design freedom in terms of the brief. I mean, they had specific needs that they wanted to happen, but at LotterHAUS, myself and Tanya, we pride ourselves in that we really like to get to know our clients. Yeah. We get to know them personally to be able to develop a dwelling around them, around their needs. And in this case, it was really, we had some design freedom. We could come up with ideas of how we could best resolve the issues at hand. And they were so acceptable to it, and it was really just an easy flow project to go with.
Yes, to design freedom. I love that. But did you experience any challenges along the way?
Look, with any renovation, you always have challenges. A new build is always easier. It has its challenges, but a renovation always has challenges because you never know what's in the walls or in the roof or in the floor where you need to cut in. So I think practically from a contractual point of view, there was quite a few electrical and plumbing issues on site. But from a design point of view, it was mostly just the typical departure applications we had to do for the addition at the back. And then there were also some surprises, pleasant surprises even. On the old drawings, I realized there was a fireplace upstairs that no one knew about. So we opened the wall and we actually could create a nice fireplace at the top that was already built in there, so we can just make it look better. So yeah, it's always exciting to work on a renovation project, but most people need to understand there's always challenges.
How would you describe the architectural style of this place, and what are some of the elements that define it?
This building was built about 10 years ago. It was quite a contemporary modern building for its age. It's still a contemporary modern style, What we try to do with the additions of the balcony in the front, especially with the steel beams, we wrapped around the existing entrance and all that, is just to combine it all. And contemporary modern for me is using natural materials. You've got the raw concrete here, you've got the raw steel, you've got the glass. You're trying to open up and bring nature into the house. What's most important in architecture for me is that you need to bring the outside in, because you're not building a house for a house. You bought a property because you actually want to live on that property. So you want to bring the nature into your house and just protect you from the elements and keep it as simple as possible. That's contemporary modern.
I love it. I loved it. You did touch on a little bit of this, but I want to talk about the materials a little bit more, what you used on the outside of the house and also what you used on the inside.
On the outside of the house, we had the NewTek cladding on the one side wing in the existing house. We had the raw concrete wall, which was one of the challenges in the property as well, because it sort of divides the living spaces in two. Normally, from a design point of view, I would use that concrete wall to divide public from private spaces. In this case, it wasn't the case, so we had to work around it. So we had a few textured walls on the other side where we've got first floor additions butting out that we're using a certain textured plaster with a color that brings in a pop of color. The steel elements we wrapped around to bind the whole thing. And then on the inside, we had the tiles on ground floor. On first floor, we tried to there was a bit of a mix of materials, so the floors were replaced to just pull it through and keep it simple. But it's almost a gallery house. So if you look at an art gallery, it's mostly white or raw materials, and you're trying to express color and texture in terms of the art that you use. But it's absolutely beautiful the way the colors, grays and whites and natural materials is what you need if you really want to do a gallery house that's a simple backdrop for textures.
Frederick, since you renovated this masterpiece, what would your advice be for homeowners that are looking to update their current properties?
In terms of renovation, it's always best to do a master plan initially to start looking at your end goal. Don't just look at your immediate goal, because you might end up doing something that you need to demolish again 2 years later to do what your next phase is. So it's always better to appoint an architect, get your end goal in place, and then work towards that goal, even if you need to phase the project in various phases. General tips, I always recommend my clients, if you really want to make a big difference, get an old home to look like a contemporary home. Get rid of your roof, replace the roof. It's not as expensive as you may think, because as soon as you replace your roof structure, all your load-bearing walls lose their load-bearingness in a sense, because you can redesign that whole layout. So your whole floor layout can change quite easily, and then and with a new roof you can let more natural light and more air in and more flow, and you can create more higher ceiling spaces. So yeah, really, and get to know the property a bit before you renovate, or trust your designers.
After the break, we talk interiors as we sit down with Kim de Villiers of the Mood Collectives, who were responsible for today's finest home. In today's episode of Finest Homes, we're visiting a home in the heart of Somerset West, an existing build that enjoyed a recent update thanks to Frederick Lotter of LotterHAUS. Before the break, Frederick took me through some of the impactful changes that were made to this incredible finest home. Now I'll meet with Kim de Villiers of the Mood Collectives to talk all things interior. Hello!
Hi.
Already pouring us a beverage.
We can do that.
How are you?
I'm well, how are you?
Very good, you're looking beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Kim, what was your brief for this project?
So the brief was very much based on a lifestyle change from the client's side. So the family had come from Johannesburg, where they had this gorgeous French-style chateau type home, and they were coming down to Cape Town, and they wanted to just pare down their lifestyle and enjoy sort of the simpler way of life and a more holistic way of life. So initially, on my first visit to this home, it was lovely to actually have the bare bones to have a look at what I was working with. And there were certain elements that we knew that we wanted to keep. One of them definitely being the off-shutter concrete. We loved that, and that sort of almost led us into the direction of where we were going then with the style as well.
Do you want to maybe unpack this particular area for us just a bit more?
Sure. So this is obviously the dining room, and the home itself doesn't have many sort of spaces. So we don't have 2 dining rooms or 3 living spaces or anything like that. So we had to take what we had and sort of make the most of it. So the kitchen was existing, and the owner was quite happy with the kitchen. So instead of replacing a whole new kitchen, I took all those elements as well. And if you look at it, it's a lovely black kitchen, again with the oak detail, and that's basically what we just followed through in this dining room area. So what we've done, for instance, in here is we definitely work with the indoor-outdoor flow. We've put a lovely long table here, although it's narrow. And what that means is there's still good walk space on both sides. We've got the stunning fireplace, which we inherited. We loved it. We didn't want it to move, and so we said, we're keeping it, let's work around it. And the owner has got the most amazing collection of whiskies and gins and all sorts of stuff. And we thought these cabinets would be the perfect way to display them. And when he's entertaining, it's an easy way for him to bring them out. It's close by. And again, we're working with all locally made pieces of furniture, the leather chairs, the solid oak table, the steel cabinets. So again, all the textures that we just incorporated into this area.
I am so fascinated now to see the rest of the house. Can we?
Let's go have a look.
Awesome. Oh, I love how airy it all is.
So I think that was what was important, was the sort of indoor-outdoor flow of this home.
Yeah.
This family particularly likes to have midweek braais.
Ooh.
And this is the perfect area just for them to light up the fire, sit down, have a glass of wine, and enjoy each other's company.
Oh, and then we have this beautiful pool and this stunning garden.
Isn't it stunning?
Wow.
So, nice private area. And this is just your 2 areas that we took advantage of, which for entertaining is absolutely perfect. So you've got your comfortable sofas. All the fabric we've used here is outdoor fabric, so nice and easy to clean. You don't have to worry if you mess some red wine on it.
Lovely.
And then we've got the dining area with a nice big table again. So when you're entertaining, 2 lovely areas that you can enjoy.
Beautiful. And then we have an upstairs too.
We do.
Shall we check it out?
Let's go have a look.
Awesome.
So at the top of the stairs here, we've got the son's bedroom over there.
Oh, awesome. Man cave.
It's his main cave, and then over here is where the family actually lives. So this is the TV room, and this is where they spend all their time. And then we've got the main bedroom over there. And as you can see, beautiful, huge windows. They just bring in all that natural sunlight. Gorgeous views over the bay. Yes.
Oof, I can't wait to talk about all of this. Let's sit down. I would love to talk about the scope of work for things like the bedrooms, the bathrooms, built-in cupboards, even the flooring.
Absolutely. So we were very fortunate in that, as I mentioned earlier, we had a clean slate and we could bring in all the elements. What was very important here was that we needed storage, and the client didn't want to see clutter around. So this room, in actual fact, is possibly where we've brought in, the only room where we've brought in a bit of colour, and that being the muted greens. But it works because if you look at the huge windows, and it actually just brings the outside in. We've got, again, the off-shutter concrete, we've got the beautiful red brick, and then we just turned it all down with a black storage unit that we custom made, and that works with the desk over there. So the bedrooms were the same. We continued the theme of having storage for anything that goes into the bedroom. So in the main bedroom, we needed to incorporate some more built-in cupboards. So we've got a small walk-through closet, but what we've done is we've taken the built-in cupboards and we've actually pushed them right up to the ceiling. We also did a very nice dressing table with a lovely mirror that's got LED around it, so the client could sit and do her makeup, feel special. It's sort of a more modern take on a Hollywood mirror.
Wow.
The main bathroom, the main ensuite bathroom, we actually gutted completely.
Oh, wow.
It was pitch black and quite shiny.
Okay.
So quite depressing actually. So we gutted it, and you'll see we brought in again all the neutral colors, freshened it up, beautiful LED lights, and again just our cementitious flooring, and kept the shower nice and big, just a nice shower pane. And yeah, so just a space that has a more calming and relaxed feeling for the client to just spoil herself or himself.
Incredible. Kim, can we talk lounges for a second? Because what is the difference between the one that we're currently in and then the one downstairs?
So the one we're currently in is the family lounge. So this is where the family gets together. They watch TV here, they're here every night. So this is sort of almost more casual lounge. So we put in nice schlumpfy sofas, you can really relax. But what is quite nice about this is you can sit on the sofa and have a conversation with somebody over there as well. So very much a family space. It goes out onto the veranda that we added. So you can spend time up here at night, so there's beautiful sunsets from here. We also have a little desk that we incorporated that we built in over there. So it all becomes part of the space where the family actually spends most of the time. And then the lounge downstairs is more the formal lounge. So even though it's not, when we say formal lounge, it doesn't, there isn't a feeling of smart or anything like that or uncomfortableness. But that's when the clients are entertaining, that's where they spend their time. So particularly in winters. So you've got your indoor-outdoor flow downstairs. So when it's cold and they want to maybe watch some rugby, then they sit downstairs in the lounge.
You cannot appreciate this home without also appreciating the incredible art pieces that were in it. I would like to know, did the owner have their own art, and how were you able to curate and update it to fit into this gorgeous home?
So the owner did. The owner has got a beautiful collection of art, all various arts, and they were framed in various frames. So we had from ornate, again coming from their home up in Johannesburg, so a lot of big ornate shiny frames. So what we did is we took all her pieces and we basically reframed them, and we've used beautiful black frames for all of the art, and we've made them work together and then just positioned them and hung them in areas where they can work together. So you've got this sort of same feeling as you walk through the house, and you've got, even though it's different artists, all the artwork works together.
It does. Kim, we have got to talk budgets. We know they come in all shapes and sizes, but where would you suggest the spend goes to take an interior to that next level?
So for us, budget's very, very important. And we always start with our projects trying to insist on our clients giving us a budget. And the reason for it is that for us, we almost work with a quality is better than quantity type thought process, and we like to see how much we've got to spend, and for us what's important is spending it on good quality items rather than too many items and just trying to bring everything in. So one of the important elements in a space is always your floors, the floor and the walls in actual fact. That's your canvas in a space. So flooring to us is very important, and it's important to spend money on good quality flooring. It gives you a good base to work with, and then you work up from there. So part of the walls, of course, is your windows, and your window finishes are very important as well. So our window finishes is something you don't change on a yearly basis. You normally keep them for a good 5 to 10 years. So we really stress it's important to spend money on whatever you're going to hang in your windows. So whether it's your blinds, whether it's your curtains, whatever it might be, it's a good place to spend your budget.
After the break, we sit down with Anna Correa to get her take on a design scheme fit for a home office. In today's episode of Finest Homes, we're visiting a house in leafy Somerset West. A house that enjoyed a recent update to suit its owner's need for a more laid-back yet pared-back lifestyle. It's a house that enjoys generous spaces with muted tones. Architect Frederick Lotter of LotterHAUS guided us through some of the impactful changes that he made, while interior designer Kim de Villiers of the Mood Collectives explained their approach to executing a design scheme that reads as calm and considered. Taking inspiration from the home office in our feature home, we tasked interior designer Anna Correa to share her take on a home office design scheme.
So in the past few years, I think there's been a massive change and movement, obviously like with COVID. And what I'm finding is a lot of my clients are actually working a lot more from home. So we've been spending a lot of time creating these beautiful home office and home studies where the clients can work from home, maybe just even do home admin and just creating these beautiful rooms. The main criteria that we look at when we design a home office is that how many people are actually going to be working in the space. Also, you've got to take into account the amount of lighting that you have in the room as well, because that's very important, especially for working. And another important factor would be your seating. You've got to make sure that you've got a very comfortable chair to sit and work from. In terms of interior design finishes for a home study, starting with the floors, again, I love engineered wooden floors. You can use tiles as well. If you want to create extra warmth into the space, you can just implement a loose layer rug, something that has a minimalistic design to it. It doesn't have to be too fancy or elaborate with the design. And then in terms of walls and that, this is a space where you can actually have a lot of fun, where you can actually go a bit different. I love working with grass cloth wallpapers. It's a very safe application to use. But if you want, you can go something a little bit more daring, adding some more color, some more textures, some more patterns. I think it's a great space to have fun. Your main power element in the room is obviously going to be your workspace. So this would be your desk, your shelving for your books and your storage. So here I would implement some beautiful Duco finishes with a sateen finish. You could go with natural colorways, or if you want to be quite bold and fun, you can introduce some color. So I like working with the deep, darker tones of the blues. Green, like a faint, soft, feinbush green is actually quite on trend as well right now, so you're just moving away from the grays. And then just to add in a little bit of more warmth and texture, this is where I would implement some wood. So you can work with dark woods, you've got the natural oak wood. In terms of durability for a countertop, you can implement an engineered stone, it can be very practical. And then if you just want to have some seating in the space, for a desk chair, I love working with leathers. I think it's very chic and I think it's very comfortable. And it's nice to also just have maybe like a sofa or an armchair in the space where you can just like schlumph and lounge around, read a book. And this is where you can actually have fun with some color and different textures and fabrics. When it comes to your windows, window treatment that I would go with for this space would either be American shutters. If you don't want to go with American shutters, you can go with Venetian blinds. It's got a very similar look and feel. Alternatively, just even going with a roller sheer blind is really nice. It's a very slick, contemporary look and feel. If you want to add a bit of warmth, go ahead, maybe add some sheer curtains, just to layer the space a bit. For the workspace and your home study, lighting is very important. You don't have to have big major lights on in the space. Maybe sometimes in the evening you just want to have like a very subtle light. In a home study, I really like to introduce some LED strip lighting into the floating shelves. If you have an occasional chair or a sofa in the space, it's really nice to have a standing lamp. And then you would have your more functional lighting, maybe your down lights, which you would have in the ceiling. But I really love the use and application of the LED strip lights.
That's it for this week. Join us again next week for another Finest Home. Remember to follow us on social media and connect with us because we love hearing from you.